Hello, friends. Reverend Cole here with the 17th episode of Questions for Cole. I want to start off by thanking you for your feedback over the past 5 months. When I started these episodes, I didn't know if there would be any interest at all, and I wasn't sure if it would last longer than just that first episode or maybe a few episodes, and then people's interest would fade. But we still seem to be getting about the same number of viewers as those early episodes, and your feedback has been very encouraging. Some of you send in questions occasionally. We could still use some more, so keep them coming. But more than that, many of you send in your thoughts or just a comment or two about an episode or a particular question that made you think or brought back a memory or struck a nerve. Different things for different people. So thank you for all the comments and emails and kind words and questions. I received a number of comments about last week's episode, which was all about masks. And we received some requests for masks, which Trish was able to fulfill. And she's got more where those came from. So a big thank you to Trish. And if there are any others out there who would like to get some masks, let us know and we'll put you in touch with her. Oh, one of the questions was whether she had made any masks for children, and the answer was yes. Turning to this week's question. It's kind of a question about questions and why we always have to have the answers to them. Maybe sometimes there aren't any answers. We're not really okay with that, are we? But maybe we should be. I saw something the other day that I thought was kind of interesting and might be a good way to start us off. It was kind of a word play that started with the question, where is God? And the answer was in three parts. The first answer was a combination of words with no spaces between them. Let me show you. Where is God? That was the answer, the first answer. The second answer separated all of these letters into words. God is nowhere. And the third answer also separated the same letters into words, but it separated them slightly differently, which changed the entire meaning of the answer from God is nowhere to God is now here. God is now here. Now maybe that doesn't mean anything, but I thought it was not only quite clever, but also potentially quite powerful. Because, well, you probably know that I believe that God is always here, always with us, always present, whether we know it or not. So what that little wordplay means to me is that perhaps when we might think that God is nowhere, it's just a matter of changing our perspective or a matter of looking at things from a different angle. Maybe then we'd be able to see or sense God's presence. Maybe not in the way we were expecting, but nevertheless there, here, always with us, always offering us strength and wisdom and God's love for us no matter what's happening around us. The other question that raises is whether or not we expect God to fix things for us. And if the chaos in our lives isn't fixed, if our problems aren't solved, if our wounds aren't healed, well, maybe that's why we have trouble believing sometimes that God is really here. But there's a different way of looking at that too. I read something just the other day that I think might help us with this one. This comes from Michael Gilliland. Michael writes, I have been married for almost 18 years now. And I can't even count how many times during that 18 years that my wife has been upset about something, and I, as a typical man, just had to try and fix it. Time and time again, my wife would say, I don't want you to fix it, I just want you to listen to me. And that's all she wanted, someone to just listen, to be a shoulder for her to cry on, and to empathize with her. He says, in recent years, I think I've gotten much better about just being there with her. Now I simply try to be present and listen to her rather than trying to fix everything. And he says that wasn't an easy change for me to make because that's not the way the Western mind naturally works. With the Western mind, it's always, if there's a problem, we'll find the solution. And if there's a question, we'll find the answer. It's simply how our brains operate. Unfortunately, a lot of modern-day Western religion approaches God in largely the same way. We feel the need to define everything and understand everything. It's as if "I don't know" is never an acceptable answer to any question. And in trying to define God, our theology has essentially killed God, or at least killed the great mystery of God. He goes on to talk about how much mystery there is in the Bible. There are so many different descriptions of God and ideas about God and questions about God, even within the pages of Scripture. And a lot of times the answers aren't really there. That's what faith is about. We know there is mystery. We know there are things that we do not know and cannot know. But so often we just want all the answers so badly that we just make them up sometimes or try to find them where they are not. That gets us into trouble. Gilliland continues with a quote from Richard Rohr, who says, "Religion has lost sight of Jesus' message. It has not tended to create seekers or searchers, has not tended to create honest, humble people who trust in God. We aren't focused on the great mystery. Rather, religion has tended to create people who think they have God in their pockets, people with quick, easy, glib answers. That's why so much of the West is understandably abandoning religion. People know the great mystery cannot be that simple and facile. If the great mystery is indeed the great mystery, it will lead us into paradox, into darkness, and into journeys that never cease. That is what prayer is about." That's from Richard Rohr. And Gilliland ends by saying, "This is why, when I read stories about the church being in decline, I find comfort in the knowledge that still more people are becoming spiritual seekers. It would seem to me that more people are starting to open their eyes to the great mystery and are choosing that mystery over divisive, dogmatic religion. And that, in my opinion, is amazing. I look forward to seeing what the new church will be like in another 20 years or so." And he ends saying, "Don't seek answers, but find your journey in the questions as you seek the presence of God." Blessings. Thanks to Michael Gilliland. Some good stuff there. I agree with him that it will be interesting to see what the church will be like in another 20 years or so. I'd actually be interested in knowing what it will be like in 1 year, or next month, or next week. But these too are questions without answers. I do know for sure that God will be with us as we ponder them. And God will be with us as we ponder all sorts of other things too. God will be with us all along our journey, no matter where it leads. Trust in that. And keep asking the questions, but be at peace even when the answers don't come quickly. Thanks for listening today. Send your questions to cole@selkirkunitedchurch.ca. Blessings and God be with you. I'll see you next time.